I'm a mama myself, and I'm a grandmother as well. And it just makes you take your children and hug them and hold them and tell them how much you love them.
Cedar Grove is the kind of neighborhood where people have lived on the same block since the 90s. The kind of place where you know your neighbor's car, you know their kids by name, and Saturday nights end the same way they always have. Quietly. Porch lights on. Dogs settled. Everybody inside. On the night of April 18th, going into the 19th, Cedar Grove went to sleep exactly like that. It woke up as a crime scene. 8 children were piled into one house, the way kids do when there's a full house. Cousins and siblings sharing space, little bodies taking up every inch of room. 3 boys and 5 girls. 7 of them shared a last name with the man who walked through that door before sunrise. The 8th was their cousin, blood either way. And by the time the first call came in just after 6 in the morning, all 8 of them were already gone. Now, the last thing Shamar Elkins posted before all of that happened was a daddy-daughter date photo. Burgers. His oldest girl sitting across from him, eating. He wrote "lol" in the caption. The internet double-tapped it and moved on. Because that's what we do, right? We see a man showing up for his kid and we give it a heart. We don't ask questions. We just scroll. What nobody tapped, 10 days before that photo, was the reposted prayer. Dear God, today I ask you to help me guard my mind and my emotions. The kind of post that sits between somebody's vacation photo and a meme about wine. We read it for 3 seconds, feel something small and keep going. And what none of us saw at all, because he didn't post this one, was the phone call he made on Easter Sunday. The one where he called his mother and his stepfather in tears and told them he was drowning in dark thoughts, that his wife wanted a divorce, that he didn't know if he could come back from it. His stepfather told him he could beat anything. Shamar said, "Some people don't come back from their demons." 3 weeks later, he proved himself right. And he took 8 children with him. To understand how you get to a Sunday morning like that one, you have to understand who Shamar Elkins was, or at least, who everyone around him thought he was. 31 years old. Born in Shreveport, raised in Shreveport, known all over Shreveport. From 2013 to 2020, he wore the uniform of the Louisiana Army National Guard. Signal Support Specialist. Fire Support Specialist. Titles that sound real good at the cookout. He never deployed. He left as a private. No medals, no combat record. But he wore that uniform for 7 years, and to the people around him, that meant something. It meant he had structure. It meant he showed up. He was also a father 7 times over. His wife, Shaneiqua Pugh, 34 years old, married to him for roughly 10 years, had been documenting those children on social media their entire lives. Recitals, report cards, a daughter getting named most improved at school. Shaneiqua posted all of it the way proud moms do, because those kids were her whole world. And the family photos showed Shamar right there beside them, smiling, present, showing up for the camera at minimum. He also had 3 other children with a woman who lived nearby, all 7 kids, from both women. Under one roof, one big blended situation. On paper, a full house. On Instagram and Facebook, a blessed one. A month before the shooting, Shamar came across one of those questions that float around on social media. You know the ones. Dads, if you could go back in time and have your same kids, but with a different woman, would you do it? His answer, reposted publicly for his wife and everyone they knew to see. Hell yes, I would. 6 Hayes. 3 exclamation points. That was not a typo. That was a man broadcasting his feelings about his marriage to the entire internet while his wife was right there on the same timeline. Their marriage was crumbling. Shaneiqua wanted out. A court date was scheduled for April 20th. The very next morning after the shooting. Custody. The formal splitting of a life built on 7 children and however many years of whatever that relationship had been. Anyone who has been through a separation with kids knows what that kind of countdown does to a person. It backs you into corners of yourself you didn't know were there. For some people, it's painful but survivable. For others, it becomes a pressure cooker. Shamar Elkins was deep inside that pressure cooker. And we are about to talk about what the system handed him to use when the heat got too high. Back in 2019, Shamar Elkins did something that should have changed the entire trajectory of what we're about to tell you. He fired a handgun near Khedarrion High School. Not in some empty field, near a school with children outside. He fired 5 rounds at a car in that direction and told police the other driver pulled a gun on him first. Maybe that is true. Maybe it is not. What is true is that the judge looked at a man who discharged a weapon next to a schoolyard full of kids and said, 18 months probation, no jail, no mandatory mental health evaluation, no treatment. Just stay out of trouble for a year and a half. Sign here. You are free to go. That was 2019. 7 years later, those same hands ended 8 young lives. Now here is the detail that should stop you cold. That 2019 conviction made Shamar Elkins a felon, which means he was legally prohibited from owning or carrying a firearm under federal law. Every weapon he had on the morning of April 19th was illegal. He was not supposed to have any of them. The system convicted him, handed him probation, and never once went back to check whether he still had access to guns. Nobody went back to check. Now let us come back to the days right before. The court date was set for April 20th. The very next morning, Shaneiqua had made her decision. The marriage was done. On Easter Sunday, Shamar called his mother and his stepfather, crying, telling them he was flooded with dark thoughts and didn't know how to come back from them. His stepfather Marcus talked him through it, prayed with him, thought the conversation had helped. It hadn't. On April 9th, Shamar reposted a prayer asking God to help him guard his mind against depression, anxiety, and panic. 10 days after that, he posted the daddy-daughter burger date. Casual, warm, a whole lol energy, like a man who had sorted himself out and was back on his feet. He had not sorted anything out. He had made a decision. Saturday, April 18th. The kids spent the day doing what kids do on a Saturday. Noise, tablets, somebody arguing about what to watch. Shamar took his oldest out for that burger, posted about it, came back. That evening the children settled in. Cousins and siblings piled into the same rooms, the way they always did in a full house. Cedar Grove got quiet. Lights went off one by one. The neighborhood went to sleep. Nobody on that block had any idea that Shamar Elkins had already decided what Sunday morning was going to look like. 5 a.m. Sunday, April 19th. He did not start on West 79th Street. He started on Harrison Street, a quarter mile away. At his girlfriend's home, he shot her multiple times. She was still breathing when officers found her, but barely. He left her there and got back in the car, a quarter mile. 5 minutes with no traffic. That is the distance between 2 women whose lives were being destroyed by the same man on the same morning. He drove to West 79th Street. Walked in. His wife Shaneiqua was there, the woman who had spent years posting their children's recitals and report cards and proud mum moments for the whole internet to see. He shot her in the face, and then he kept moving. The children were asleep. 7 of them were inside the house. According to police, most were shot in their sleep, in their beds, where they were supposed to be safe. 1 child, a boy, somehow woke up, got out, climbed onto the roof of the neighboring house. He thought up high meant safe. It did not. He was shot on that roof. His small body stayed up there until the sun came up and officers started piecing together where everyone was. 8 children. Jayla Elkins, Shamar Elkins, Braylon Snow, Kayla Pugh, Khedarrion Snow, Layla Pugh, Markaydon Pugh, and Sariahh Snow. 3 boys. 5 girls. The oldest was in middle school. The youngest was still learning her full sentences. Who was also in that house that night managed to jump from a roof, trying to get away. Broken bones, non-life-threatening injuries, alive. That teenager saw and heard things no human being should ever have to carry, and will carry them for the rest of a very long life.
There was a child that jumped off the roof. We were able to get him to a hospital, and he is expected to survive.
Around 6 a.m., the first 911 call came in. Reports of a domestic disturbance, 300 block of West 79th Street. By the time the first Shreveport police units arrived, Shamar Elkins was already gone. He had carjacked a stranger's vehicle near Linwood Avenue and driven out of the neighborhood. Behind him, 7 children dead inside the house, 1 dead on a rooftop, 2 women bleeding in 2 separate homes a quarter-mile apart, a teenager on the ground with broken bones, and the first officer to walk through that front door on West 79th Street was about to see something that will live in his memory until the day he dies. The scene that greeted officers that Sunday morning was not one scene. It was 4. Harrison Street, West 79th Street, the intersection where the carjacking happened, and a stretch of road miles away in Bossier City, where the last chapter was still being written while investigators were still processing the first 3. Spokesperson Chris Bordelon stood in front of cameras and described it as,
"This is an extensive scene, unlike anything I know most of us have ever seen in our career."
He was not being dramatic. He had been doing this job a long time, and there were simply no words that fit. Police Chief Wayne Smith, standing at his own podium later that morning, said his heart was taken aback.
I just don't know what to say. My heart is just taken back.
Sighed he could not begin to imagine how something like this could happen. Shreveport's mayor called it maybe the worst situation the city had ever lived through. And the city councilman, doing the math quietly, the way you do when the numbers are too awful to say out loud, noted that in a single morning, 1 man had more than doubled Shreveport's homicide total for the entire year. 1 man. 1 morning. Meanwhile, the Caddo Parish Coroner's Office had 8 children to identify. 2 mothers had to walk into that building and say the names out loud. I need you to sit with that sentence for a moment. 2 mothers. 8 children between them, identified by the people who loved them most. Inside the house on West 79th, detectives mapped every room, where each child had been, where each shell casing had landed, which doors had been touched, and which ones hadn't. What they found confirmed what the timeline already suggested. The primary weapon was a small caliber handgun, used on Shaneiqua and on the children. But when Shamar Elkins was finally confronted in Bossier City, he was holding something else entirely. A rifle-style pistol, assault-style, different weapon, heavier firepower. This man left his house that morning carrying more than 1 gun. He prepared for more than 1 outcome. This was not a moment of rage. This was not a snap. This was a man who loaded up and walked out the door knowing exactly where he was going and exactly what he intended to do when he got there. A neighbor's security camera caught him fleeing on foot toward a tire shop. A Ring doorbell in Bossier City recorded the final confrontation. The sound of the gunfire, the end of it all. Shamar Elkins never saw a courtroom. After the carjacking, he drove out of Shreveport and crossed the Red River into Bossier Parish. Louisiana State Police picked up the chase. They knew exactly who they were running down and exactly what he had just done. It ended on Brompton Lane in Bossier City. Officers confronted him. Shots were fired on both sides. When the gunfire stopped, Shamar Elkins was dead in the street. 3 officers discharged their weapons. And here is the detail that even Shreveport police themselves were honest about. It is not entirely clear whether he died from officers' gunfire or whether he ended things himself with that rifle-style pistol. Louisiana State Police took over the investigation. Standard procedure when a suspect dies in a police confrontation. Shreveport police confirmed nothing suggests any wrongdoing by the officers who responded. No officers were harmed. There is no trial. No charges read in a courtroom. No verdict to wait for. Just the terrible, quiet math of what is left. 2 women recovering from gunshot wounds. A teenager with broken bones and a lifetime of memories they didn't ask for. And 8 caskets small enough that one person could carry each one alone. Here is what this case keeps coming back to. Over 30% of violent crimes in Shreveport are domestic. Over 30% of the murders. Domestic violence is not a private matter between 2 adults. It was never just that. This one started as a failing marriage and ended with 8 children who never got to wake up on a Sunday morning. It started in one home and finished in 4 crime scenes across 2 parishes. And it had been building, quietly, for years, while the people and systems around it looked the other way. Shamar Elkins gave the justice system a warning in 2019. He fired a weapon near a school and walked away with probation. That conviction made him a felon, legally barred from ever touching a gun again. Nobody enforced that. Nobody followed up. For 7 more years he lived in that community, raised those children, and kept access to weapons he was never legally supposed to have again. He gave his own family a warning on Easter Sunday, broke down in tears on the phone, talked about dark thoughts, said some people don't come back from their demons. His family prayed with him, reassured him, and went back to their lives. Because what else do you do? The cry was quiet. The next post was cheerful. The next photo was the burger date. How are you supposed to know when the quiet post is the one that means everything? That has to change. Not just for this family. For every family sitting inside a situation right now where something feels off, where the anger is getting louder, where the control is getting tighter. If that is your house right now, please make the call. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. It is available around the clock. It doesn't matter how small the thing feels. Make the call. And if you are the friend, the sister, the neighbor, do not wait for the Easter photo to stop looking happy. Sometimes the loudest cry for help is a quiet prayer repost on a Wednesday afternoon that everyone scrolls past. 8 children went to sleep in Cedar Grove on a Saturday night. 3 boys, 5 girls. Jayla, Shayla, Braylon, Kayla, Khedarrion, Layla, Markaydon, Sariahh.